The fabulous Mel B is here, sitting with us, because, just a reminder, she's always brutally honest. And, in fact, you've added chapters to your brilliant memoir.
I have.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
But before we ask you about that, what was your reaction to that interview?
God, that was outrageous. Clearly what was said was racist, whether it was said privately or openly. I just think in this day and age, that behaviour cannot happen. And at least take some accountability, apologise and keep it moving. Don't just then, like, squander in it all. It was just awful to listen to him defend his friend.
When you... Well, he says he's never met him, but this is, of course, the biggest Tory donor that we're talking about.
We just wanted him to be
honest
and moral, and just say
morally correct.
It's wrong.
Yeah, it's really wrong.
Even if he doesn't know what he exactly said, just say what we feel, which is you shouldn't say that kind of thing.
No, you can't be saying that.
And what
at all.
is the impact? We spoke to Dawn Butler about this a little bit earlier on, because, of course, she also a black female MP in the same party as Diane Abbott, about whom these comments were made. You know, the environment becomes more toxic, doesn't it?
It really does. And the funny thing is, when he said his, not friend, but the person that he's never met, said it behind closed doors. And like he says, that's just as bad as saying it publicly, which brings me to a point which I just found out the other day, talking about domestic abuse. If you kill your partner outside on the street, you get 25 years. If you kill your partner inside a home, inside your home, you get 15 years.
Wow.
So why is there such a big difference? Domestic violence is usually done in the restricted area of your home because you've actually isolated that person from their friends and their family. So it's something that we really need to bring to the forefront. Things shouldn't be happening privately or even said privately that are racist or even abusive. You know, we're living in a world now where one woman is killed every single week by a former partner or current partner. And this epidemic is not going to be going anywhere unless we do something about it.
And the reason that you are all dressed up today...
I know, I look like I'm going to a wedding. This is my mother-in-law's hat that I've borrowed. Thank you, Sue.
But it is because...
I'm going to the palace.
Yes, because...
to meet the Queen. And she is hosting a small private event for her charity, WOW, Women of the World, which is also dealing with domestic abuse and... that kind of stuff, which is so important.
She's really rallied to that cause.
I know, because it's a cause that is... I mean, it's an epidemic. It's not going anywhere. It's like, what more can we do to educate? Rather than just talking about it, we need to educate our kids, educate the justice system, and really look at this matter from the inside out, because it's getting worse. And us women are suffering when, you know, one woman a week gets killed.
Going back to that interview we just did there, you know, it was said in private, you know, well, you know, these are words. I mean, do you think on this issue, domestic violence, do you think as a society we have yet properly faced up to what it is and how damaging it can be? Or is there still a tendency for people to say, well, you know, it was in the home or it was a few years ago? You know, we had, you know, people on our programme who've committed and been convicted of acts of domestic violence, and they say, yeah, that was then and this is now, and it's a few years ago.
It's an epidemic, and it's
Are we burying it under the carpet?
Huge, yeah. I mean, we are burying it. Well, we're actually talking about it because, you know, it's in our front rooms now. We can watch shows like Happy Valley, Dirty John, so it is more publicly spoken about, but still the ins and outs of it, the nuts and bolts. Like, if I'm going to... hopefully go to court and accuse my partner of domestic violence, you know, I'm not going to really trust the justice system. Am I going to trust the police, that they actually understand and care enough to see what's going on? So we need to educate, because if we don't educate people that we're meant to feel safe with, like the police, like the justice system, we're fighting a losing battle. So we've got to do something.
Is it men, I mean, inadvertently, I'm not saying deliberately, but is it men still not taking it properly seriously?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, statistics are that it happens to a woman from a man. It does happen in same-sex marriages, it does happen in same-sex relationships also, and it happens where the woman can do that to the man, but statistically it's done to women in a heterosexual relationship. So this is something that we need to really look at and really kind of have some empathy, get some new laws in place and get it funded properly by the government, because the government only put X amount of money aside each year to deal with domestic violence, but they end up spending billions because it's an epidemic. I can't stress that enough. And my book, by the way, I've updated it because since 2017 to 2024, a lot's happened to me because I did have a 10-year very abusive marriage, and I talk about that in the book very, very honestly. But I also now talk about the after effects that I've had to go through, because just like anybody coming out of a domestic abusive relationship, you suffer such trauma, and trying to get yourself back on your feet, especially if you have kids and going through the court system, it's so much to take on board, because you have to literally learn how to walk, learn how to talk, learn how to give yourself confidence again, because you've been riddled with shame and guilt for so long. And it's something that I'm so happy to be speaking about, and speaking about it loud and proud, because there's so many survivors out there that don't have a voice, so I want to be their voice for them, because we all have the same story at the end of the day.
I wonder, Mel, it's so powerful. I mean, your book is brilliant. It's so powerful listening to you speak about this. One of the misconceptions, I think, that affects police and also a family and those around is, well, if there was something really wrong, she'd leave.
Yeah.
And I think that also applies to men as well, in those, you know, when the relationship is the other way around. Can you explain to those people who think that why it is not possible to leave, that it can actually be terrifying and life-threatening, and you still don't leave?
Well, I mean, I tried to leave about 6 or 7 times, but I always ended up going back because of my kids, because for some reason I felt like I couldn't fully leave because I didn't have my own money or access to my own money. I mean, where am I going to go? My friends and family had been separated from me, because what an abuser does very cleverly, and they all do the same thing, is they isolate you. So even though you're the one being abused, you know, your friends and family are also being abused. Say you wanted to go and have dinner with them on a Friday night. Your abuser may have called them and said, no, she doesn't want to meet you. Little do you know, but then your friends and family are not calling you back. So they put like a massive big bridge that seemed impossible to jump over, and you end up thinking the only person you can turn to is your abuser. Yet this is the person that's meant to love you, yet they can be emotionally or coercively abusing you, and you end up just going in a cycle. You want to get out, you want to leave, but they make it impossible, and you think it's impossible to leave.
Yes.
Where now, you know, Women's Aid is now, I think it's their 50th anniversary, and they're there to support women and children that are in these kind of positions. And I'm also campaigning for HR to actually understand in the workplace, to be able to spot domestic violence, domestic abuse, because for me, my work environment was the safest place that I could be, because I was away from that person and that situation.
Yes, it was a safe space for you, wasn't it?
So we need to be able to be more compassionate within the workspace also, and implicate that.
It's absolutely brilliant that the Queen is so on board. Her husband, of course, huge fan of yours and the Spice Girls. Your connection actually goes back an awfully long way.
A long time ago,
doesn't it? A really long way. Have you sent him any messages, or have you been in touch with him about, because he's going through a challenging time at the moment?
Yeah, and I'll be talking to the Queen later about that, but I'm not going to say anything yet.
Keep that close. Keep those cards close to your chest.
And you're with the royal family today. Jerry was with the royal family yesterday at the special Commonwealth service. Good to see her.
Yeah.
And you've all rallied behind Jerry, of course, because she's been
very
going through a
supportive.
tough time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you're going through something like that, you really do need your friends and family, and we're all very supportive, and I feel really sad for her right now.
We were so excited when on Loose Women you said there was exciting news coming later in the year.
I'm always the one saying the Spice Girls are getting together. I always get told off, but we are doing something.
Listen, just between us. Tell nobody else. Between us.
And everybody.
What's the plan? What's the plan?
Listen, I've got to go. I'm off to meet the Queen. Sorry. Bye.
Whatever you do, whatever mention you make of it, of course it's news. Everyone would be so excited.
We would be. It's what we want.
What you
What
really,
we
really
really,
want. I
really-
knew you were going to say that.
Of course he is, of course. Look, Mel B, it's brilliant. You're always brutally honest, except when you know that you can't
Say
speak.
anything. Exactly.
I know, but we're feeling like there's, there's
just
something coming.
stop.
There's
I'm not
something
telling you
coming.
anything.
Good luck today, and thank you for all the work that you've done. It is so hugely powerful, and I think it really kind of opens a window
I hope
onto
so.
that private space where people are at risk. Mel B, thank
And
you
send
so
best
much.
wishes from all of our viewers to the Queen when you see her today.
Yes. I
Because
will.
her work on this with you is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're affected by those issues, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines. Please don't be afraid to seek help if you need it.